Hello, everybody. How's it going? Um, I'm going to share with you today my story. Okay, I'm going to share with you my healing journey. It's going to be in parts, though. I haven't really decided how many parts yet, but today I'm just going to kind of give an overview of what transpired before I actually did my healing ceremony. So as you can see in the background here, I got two little mushrooms. Um, these are actually, me and my dad found these on the beach in Costa Rica. And yeah, we just felt like they were fitting. So, we picked them up and we brought them home with us. Um, there's actually a funny story about that because on the plane ride home, I had them bubble wrapped, like wrapped in bubble wrap, and I put them in my suitcase. And I was a little concerned because they don't usually like, the Costa Rican people or any travelers to take home, if they're going out of country, to take the shells home with them. But I was like, you know what? I really want some shells. Like I found some cool shells on the beach. So I ended up wrapping them up, putting them in my suitcase, and then I think it was like 30 minutes or so, 45 minutes before the plane was ready to depart. They called me over the PA system and they're like, can you please come down? Or can you please come to the desk or whatever? We have something to discuss with you. I was like, okay, that's kind of weird, but whatever. So I ended up going down to the desk and immediately they said, "We found something in your suitcase." I was like, "Oh, really? Like what?" They're like, "We can't tell you, but it looks like something like dangerous." I was like, "Okay, well," I'm thinking like I don't have anything dangerous in my suitcase. So they brought me downstairs. I had to go all the way outside. I went down to like the area where they scan the bags and everything. And there was like an officer there and some other, workers and they're like, "Can you please open your suitcase for us? Can you look through it and, show us what you got in there, blah blah blah." I was like, "Okay." So I ended up opening it. I was really nervous. Like I was like, "What is going on? Like I don't understand. I don't have anything in my suitcase that's dangerous. I don't have a sharp object." But they wanted me to go through it, so I'm like shaking in my boots, right? And even though I had nothing to hide, um, I opened my suitcase and I, showed them all the compartments. And then they're like, "Okay, that's good enough." I'm like, "All right." So they said zip it back up. So I zipped it back up. And then they brought it over to another scanning like machine or whatever. And they scanned it through again, and then one of the guys says, "Okay, you're free to go. Everything's fine." So it was like a waste of my time, but anyway, so that's what happened there. And it was the shells that I believe it was because that was the only thing because they told me it looked like barbed wire, which completely makes sense, right? Because of the bubble wrap and the different shapes of shelling and all that, like different shapes of shells and stuff. So yeah, so I think I think it was from that. But yeah, I ended up, I got home fine and everything. I didn't have any other issues after that. Um, okay, so I'll go into my healing story here. So obviously, my divine masculine did play a part in my journey and my healing journey. He triggered me in the past, made me realize that, I need to work on myself. At that time, I really had a hard time loving myself. And so he pointed that out to me, and that was something that I needed to heal and work on. Um, so the thing is, and I'm trying to think of how long ago this was now. Uh, I can't give an exact time frame, but I'm gonna say about 6 years ago. Sounds about right. Um, I was going through school. I was trying to better myself. And this story is not going to really be focused on my masculine. It's going to be more focused on my journey, my personal healing journey. Um, you know, because obviously, yes, my divine masculine did have something to do with that, but ultimately, the whole point of a union, the whole point of a twin flame union is to work on the self, to come into union with yourself, okay? That's where the real healing is. Um, and the masculine needs to heal himself too. He needs to go on his own healing journey and heal himself. Um, so that's basically what the twin flame journey is about. It's not about the other person so much. It's not about your twin, okay? It's about yourself and the connection that you have to your authentic self, and to fully love yourself and embrace who you are as a person, okay? And to get rid of all the illusions and all the crap, all the stories, and you know what I mean? Like, you'll understand once we go through this a little bit more. But yeah, so at that time, I was going through school, and I was trying to better myself. I actually started a Facebook group, and I believe actually that it's still on there. But I haven't been active on that group for some time now. But it was called The Power of Positivity. And the power of positivity, was a way for me to be able to try and help others. Okay, I invited a lot of my Facebook friends on there, family members, and it was also a way to help myself, okay, in order to try and remain positive, try and look at the brighter aspect of life, because I really struggled back then with day-to-day things, okay. I had a lot of anxiety. I had a lot of depression. I went through a lot of depression when me and my twin separated, okay, and where I felt to the point where I didn't know if I could move on. I didn't know if I could continue to live life. I didn't know if I'd get through it, okay. I was so stuck on, the experience with him. It was like I couldn't see past that. And I'm sure some of you guys out there are in the same boat right now as we speak. Um, but I'm here to tell you that there's more to life than that, and you just got to get past that point. And sometimes, for me, like, not just my masculine, but I had my own issues, right? I struggled with anxiety. I struggled with depression through my teens. I went through a lot to the point where, I contemplated suicide at one point, and because I didn't know how to deal. I didn't know how to deal with what I was feeling with my emotions or anything like that. Every day was a struggle for me, to even just get through life, to do the routine tasks. Okay, I had severe social anxiety as well. Okay, and yeah, it was a lot. Okay. So the thing is I started this group, this Power of Positivity, in order for me to get through things. It was like my motivator. So I would post like positive quotes on there. I would find stuff on Google and I'd post it. I would make my own posts up, and I'd post them on there as well to try and help myself and other people. Things that I noticed through my growth and through my experiences. I tried to, I wanted to share those with others. I wanted to help other people that, maybe struggled like I do, with anxiety or with depression. So yeah, I did that for some time. And then I actually went out west. I went out to Calgary. Okay, I went out to Alberta. And I spent 4 months out there. It was something I've always wanted to do. I really, wanted to see the mountains. I had some friends out there. I still have some friends out there now. But yeah, I was done school at that point, and I was like, what the hell, I've been trying to do this for like years, but the timing hasn't been right. I've been in and out of school, I've been doing other things. And that was the point to go. That was my time. So I went out there. I went out there for 4 months, and um, I really grew. Like, I feel like because I was by myself out there, I didn't have my parents. I was living with my friends at the time. I went through a lot when I got there. I was living with somebody, um, that I met when I was a teenager, and he had been out there for several years at that point, probably about 11 years or so. And it just turned out to be a disaster when I was living with him. We didn't get along. And so I had to leave and I had to move in with my other friend, which is a girlfriend of mine, or my one of my best friends, that used to live here, but she's now out west. And I had to live with her. So, and then I couldn't find a job out there while I was out there, so I was struggling with money, and I had all kinds of things happen, but it was probably one of the worst and one of the best experiences of my life. And if I could do it all over again, I probably would, because I had a really I just loved it out there. Like, it's so gorgeous, with the mountains and everything, the clean air and the fresh water. Um yeah, it was just an awesome experience overall. All the things I got to see. Um, yeah, all the places I went with my friend and her boyfriend and their daughter. It was great. I even lived on my own too. At one point, I found somebody on Kijiji, and I lived with her. She had her own house and everything, so I rented a room from her. And she was a pretty cool chick. We got along really well, and we had a great time together. She was real laid back, and yeah. So, but I'm not going to go too much more into that. I just wanted to, express that I did go out west, and then when I came back, because I went on that healing journey, okay, that was kind of like a healing experience for me because it forced me to get out of my comfort zone. Because I was kind of always like a homebody. I didn't want to veer too far away from home. And so that was a real opportunity for me to expand from there. So when I returned 4 months later, I immediately got into meditation. And, I've been meditating ever since. So that's about 3 years now I've been meditating. And during that time, because I was getting into meditation and then I started getting into like tarot cards and oracle cards. So yeah, I've been reading tarot and oracle cards for about 2.5, almost 3 years now. And, faithfully every day, practicing several times most days. And then I started getting into other things. I took some like classes on Wicca and like, I did my Reiki and different levels of Reiki and stuff like that. And other classes, I was just trying to learn as much as I could. I bought a bunch of books, gained a bunch of knowledge. And then from there, um, what do you call it? So from there, I started talking to my brother, and my brother was always in my life, but I didn't see a lot of him. he's kind of lived all over. He's lived out west. He's currently living in Costa Rica now. And so, he's always been in my life, but he didn't visit, where I live very often. And, I'd see him maybe once every 7 or 8 years, but we would talk, casually here and there. But once I started getting into like the metaphysical stuff is kind of when because he's very much into that himself. So that's when we really started to bond, okay? Excuse me. And he knew about my struggles. He knew that, I struggled with my issues and my personal issues. And so we had some deep conversations, and actually I had plans to go out with my dad to see him, and this was actually last May, so about a year ago now. And so yeah, May 2019. So we had plans, me and my dad had plans to go out there. My dad, he left about a month prior, and I was going to meet them down there. So it was like my first time flying, which I was pretty nervous about, but it actually turned out to be a pretty good experience. And there was like barely anyone in the plane. The plane was like half full, which was really cool. Uh, but yeah, before that happened though, before I went down there, me and my brother had been talking, and he was into some stuff. He had done some ayahuasca ceremonies, and he had done, other things like psilocybin ceremonies. And so he had done those two things quite frequently. He had done quite a bit. And so he had lots of experience. And his plans at that time, he was in the process, he either bought the land or he was planning to buy the farmland, but he actually wanted to create his own temple, okay, so that he could do these healing ceremonies for people. And these healing ceremonies, involve, taking either ayahuasca or psilocybin, which is considered magic mushrooms. And then, there's a certain setup, okay? And I'll go into that in, some of the next videos that I post. This is just part one, so I'm not going to get into it right now. But I really need you guys to have an open mind here, okay? Because a lot of you are going to think, oh, magic mushrooms, she does drugs. Okay, I used to think mushrooms were drugs too, but I don't think like that anymore. I've completely changed my perception. I see mushrooms as a plant medicine, okay? It's an herb. It's like an herb, okay? It comes from the ground, it comes from Mother Nature. It's very healing, okay? And it's used in sacred healing practices. Um, so anyway, so before we go into that, so we had been talking back and forth, and he was telling me these experiences he had, and that he had been working with other people, not at his temple because his temple wasn't built yet, but he was doing these ceremonies at his friend's temple. And so, he explained this how it works, and I was a little skeptical, because I'm not into, at the time, I thought of them as, drugs and everything, and I didn't want to do that. And I was also afraid of how intense the experience could be. And I just had a lot of fears. I had a lot of fears. And you know what? He's like, one night he's like, why don't you write your fears down? Write your fears down, everything that you're scared of with regards to doing this, and we'll have a chat about it in like 5 days from now. It's like, all right, well, I guess I got nothing to lose, right? So I can always back out. I don't have to do this if I don't want to. I can change my mind at the last minute because he did want me to do the ceremony when I came down to see him. So I wrote my fears down, and then, we had conversations about it, and he made me feel really like at ease, and he was able to answer all my fears with, reassurances and just help me like shift my perspective on the whole situation, in a very, you know, calm demeanor. It wasn't like he forced me into it or manipulated me or anything like that. Okay, he's my big brother, so he was able to explain things in a way that I could understand and that I could feel more comfortable about the whole situation. Um, so yeah, so then I guess at that point, I was ready to do it. I was ready to give it a try because um I was really struggling at that point. I was really struggling with my anxiety. I was really struggling with my depression. I had tried everything in the book. Okay, I had tried numerous things. I've tried, counseling, one-on-one counseling, group therapy, group counseling. I had tried different medications. A lot of the medications, either made me feel worse or they didn't do anything at all. Um, some of them, stopped working after a while. Okay. So at that point, I felt like I had tried everything. I was somebody that liked to exercise, but even that wasn't doing enough for me. I even tried, changing my diet. At that point, I started eating healthier and things like that. I started eating a bit like more on the vegan side and cutting out some dairy and meat, most dairy and meat. And, I had tried a lot of different things. Even the meditation, I was doing that. Although I wasn't super faithful, I wasn't doing it every day. It did help me, but like I said, it wasn't enough, okay? So there was something that I struggled with as well from my childhood, okay? An experience that I went through, a traumatic experience. And so that's always stuck with me. And I haven't been able to release that or let that go. And what this ceremony can bring you to the root, can bring you to the root of your trauma, okay? And I felt the need to do that. I felt the need to take the next step because I wasn't getting to the root. I wasn't getting to the root of that trauma. I wasn't able to fully release it. And so, yeah, so that's when I agreed to go out to Costa Rica and do the ceremony with my brother. Okay, it was like a last resort, a last like the last thing I guess I could do, the last thing I could try to see if I could heal myself, okay? Um so yeah, I'm gonna stop there for today, but I wanted to give you guys, a little bit of interesting information to kind of lead you up into the next couple, you know, 2 or 3 videos that I'll probably post, or however many I end up doing. So yeah, I just wanted to give you guys a good foundation of my experience. And I think in the next video, I'm probably going to discuss my experience in the sweat lodge. Okay, I did a sweat lodge when I went out to Costa Rica. So I will definitely talk to you guys about my experience in the sweat lodge, and then from there, maybe I'll get right into the ceremony experience. So definitely keep an eye out for those videos, guys. Okay, if you're liking my story and you're interested to know more about my healing journey, please, keep watching. And I appreciate all the support. Okay, guys. So yeah, so I hope you like my little mushrooms in the background. And no, they're not steaming, okay? I know you can probably see the smoke, but it's actually my incense is behind the mushroom, so it kind of gives it that cool psychedelic effect, right? Um, but yeah, I know some of you guys may not understand, you know, what I'm doing here, but if you keep watching, hopefully you're able to open your mind up to, you know, what this whole journey is, what this whole healing journey was for me and how much it actually helped me. Okay, so we'll get into that in another video, but I hope you guys enjoyed this one and I will talk to you shortly. All right, bye.